Well, there's a war going on. Not the gay and boring ones in like foreign lands. Instead, there are ones at home where we must fight and keep the coal fires burning for. The food bank wars.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's pretty sad actually. None of
People
this.
throwing, like in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, cans of food in people's faces. You've seen that film, right?
I got so bored watching that.
Really?
Yeah.
I quite enjoyed it.
Oh,
It's a bit silly, but I enjoyed it for what it was.
I hated that movie, I'll be honest. I went with my parents and none of us understood what it was about. We just got bored.
You don't know the Manson family murders?
Not really. Yeah, this is what happens when you come out with my family. So there we are. So we'll mention that the food bank wars is a thing. Here you are. This is a lady who decided to tweet this out, and it's a video of an Indian man who decides that he's had enough of paying for food and wants it for free. She says here, this guy who's got a job as a bank data scientist for a Canadian company, a position that averages around $98,000 a year.
It'd be Canadian dollars, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would be. And proudly uploaded this video showing him getting free food from food banks, which I suppose it is free.
Callum, I think I found a new method for you to save money here. You did that segment where you're saying buy cheap Iceland ready meals and McDonald's, which you definitely weren't paid by either of those companies to say.
Sadly not. But if you tried not paying for them, just take them. Iceland's got plenty of things.
It's not even stealing if you go to a food bank.
I still think it is. Is it
Well,
not?
they're giving it away for free, aren't they?
I suppose so. It's like when you go to Freshers Fair and you just steal all the pot noodles and rubbers and pencils from everyone. You do that, right?
Well, we weren't given any pot noodles. They were handing out condoms, though.
Oh. Different schools.
Yeah.
So anyway, back to the food banks. There's this guy. Let's listen to him.
This is how I save hundreds of bucks every month in food and grocery.
All these groceries for this week I got free. This for everyone, all the students. They even have hot food at our university.
यहाँ पे most of the universities and colleges में food banks होते हैं, which are run by trusts, churches या फिर non-profit organizations. Let me show you what I got this week.
You can take as much as you want. सारे basic fruits and vegetables, bread, sauces, pastas and canned vegetables, which is subject to availability.
This has been very helpful to me as a student. Check with your seniors or university websites and you'll get the location of the food banks.
I just don't know how someone can have a mindset like this.
I know. Well, he's talking as if he's a student, and it looks like he's got like a sports team on. I don't know enough about whatever sports team that is to know whether it's like a university team or what.
I think that's the university, but either way, don't steal from food banks. Is this controversial? Is this up for debate?
Well, a bit of competition never hurt anyone, Callum.
What, competition with the poor?
Well,
make them fight for their food banks. We'll take it off them because we've got jobs.
Then only the strong poor will survive.
The poor will lose.
Hi folks, sorry to interrupt the video, but I just want to direct your attention to the aesthetics range of merch that we have on the store. These are beautiful images that I think work really well as posters or mugs. So if you want to support us, going over to the merch store at shop.lotus.com is easily the best way other than signing up on the website.
No, I'm being silly, of course.
But as mentioned here, like he's got a job. I mean, this lady's mentioning like he works for this Canadian company, and the position he's at averages 98,000 Canadian dollars. But let's say it's even just like 70,000 Canadian dollars, whatever. You still don't need to be stealing from food banks.
No, the idea is that it's a means of people donating food or money to people who are struggling. Normally with a large family that they can't afford to pay for on their own, which still their fault, but at least a bit more forgivable than just Indian man wants free stuff.
Yeah, thick Indian accent, just taking things. Why? Because they give it out for free, it turns out.
To his credit, though, a lot of it was, European food, so...
Well, that's all right then, is it?
Well, he's learning.
No, but that tells you it's Europeans donating the food, and then this Indian guy is just stealing it, and is then being like, guys, free food, not clickbait, click now. And it's just like, have you tried stealing? That's his advice.
Mm-hmm. Well, the people of San Francisco are already following his advice, whether they know about this video or not.
True. Someone mentioned in here that shame, which is what you need to have food banks to work, which is that it's shameful to do it, which is, horrible if you need the food because you feel shame, but it keeps other people taking the piss like this. That's the whole reason for that culture.
But also, if someone were giving me free food, I wouldn't feel that much shame.
No, but if you need to rely on food banks, like the complaint is that it's a bit horrible that you have to have a feeling of shame if you're on, the job center or whatever else. But the reason that exists, the reason that's necessary, is to keep out people who just take the piss, and hope that shame would keep them from not taking the piss. But someone made this brilliant comment underneath where they said, shame requires introspection, which, just saying, I don't think this guy has. Which
he didn't make any sort of justification for why he's getting all this free food. He didn't say, oh, well, it's free for everyone in that sort of sense of, it's not just for those who need it.
No, but let's move on, because what was funny is that I saw in here, we'll skip over that for a moment, but the vast majority of the quote tweets in here I went through, there's a big difference. There's a lot of people saying that whenever I used to go to a food bank, overwhelmingly it's Indians, just saying, people saying that. And then there's a lot of other people who are Indian, like I think this guy's actually an Indian guy, who are like, this guy makes India look bad, like what's wrong with you?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the two.
I find it funny that there's a sort of culture in India of just being so tight-fisted that you'll take advantage of free food that's not intended for you. That's almost rivaling, the Scots for being tight-fisted. I'm allowed to say that.
But I just also am confused, because the complaint from the Indians who are retweeting this being like, well, this is awful. How could you do that? The complaint is that he's making India look bad. Less so that it's wrong to do it.
I'm sure all those videos of their train services and public hygiene are, such good PR for India.
Weird at least. But the news being, in response, this guy got fired because the Canadian company found out and were like, yes.
Food bank bandit.
The food bank bandit should not... We don't wish to employ that person anymore, actually. That's really quite an evil thing to do. But what was funny is I thought this isn't really a point of discussion. This isn't a debate. This is just, what? Like, yeah, don't steal from food banks. What the hell's wrong with you? Like, nevertheless, if you're a foreigner, just taking advantage of a nation's charity.
You mean to say foreign people actually are taking advantage of the goodwill of the native populations? That's unheard of.
Yeah.
That never happens.
But then there's these people. So this blew up. This response to it was saying, bitch got the poor guy fired. Poor guy.
He's not poor. He's richer than me, yeah.
I don't know what kind of visa he has, but there's a high chance he gets deported if he's unable to find a job soon. Good? Go away? Like, you shouldn't be stealing from charities? Imagine getting your life ruined because you wanted to help other Indian immigrants with groceries.
The funny thing is...
Help them. Help them steal food from charities.
Implicit in this as well is if he goes back to India, his life is ruined. What a condemnation of India.
Oh, man. Truly would be over. No coming back from that. But that's the thing. I can't get it. Like, this is real. This is real. You have 7 million views, like 7,000 people liking this. Like, I don't know why we have to share society with such people, but apparently we do. I love Drodka. Maybe don't steal. Just saying. Yeah.
But he wasn't stealing. It was there for free, Callum. Didn't you know?
The ducks are free. Just take them. I can't get over that mindset. Like, that's a joke in the Anglosphere, but apparently that's not a joke in the what do they call it now? The global South.
Mm-hmm.
Politically correct term. Because, of course, wouldn't want to say the, savages or anything. But moving on.
Sandwiches.
We'll go to a response to this, because I saw Drodka. For people who don't know, Drodka is this weird British account, which I'm in love with. And he posted about this. And it turns out there's a Indian cyber defense force out there who are there to defend the honor of India whenever it is smeared by video evidence. Which...
Smear is a good use of that word, yeah. Sorry, lowering the tone.
He puts here, posts about Indian students stealing food from food banks by people like that account. And I apparently upset some very vindictive Indian users for being anti-Indian. They're so upset that they're coordinating in chats like the Indian Cyber Defenders Telegram group for mass reporting and doxing of any account that talks about this.
Let me tell you that British people can't be anti-India because we created India. It didn't exist before us, right?
I mean, true.
Mm-hmm.
And I know there are going to be Indians being like, well, there were these provinces and that provinces and this kingdom, that kingdom. It's like, yeah, but there wasn't an India, was there? Anyway, but I'll read some of this because this is weird. Like, just the weird kind of human beings who do such a thing. So this in this group chat. Posts about, it says here, listen everyone, this Pangasia, which apparently means clown in Urdu, so whatever. So this clown crosses the limit now.
Why are they using Urdu as well?
I don't know. Why they're writing in broken English. Like, either speak your native language or just don't. I don't understand.
It's like Hispanic people in like TV shows and films where they drop in random sort of Spanish phrases just so you know that they're Spanish.
Like the German guy in a movie who just, for some reason, has learned perfect English with a German accent, but then still says the word yes as ja. Okay.
They're close enough.
But anyway, they say she's got an Indian fired just because he took some food from a food bank during his college days. This clown needs to feel pain in real life. Reporting and suspending has to be done, obviously, but it isn't enough. Get in touch with Gems of White, whoever that is, because he knows things about her. Tell him to join here. Bitch needs to be shown her place for daring to be like, maybe don't steal from a food bank. Like, how's the matter with you? Like, you're getting paid good money. You're working for a data science company.
I also like how Darth Vader is in the chat as well. Vader there.
Or maybe he's just a Dutch guy. He's father.
Mhm.
Anyway. But they're apparently also trying to get AI images banned of Indians. So if you scroll down on this, there's them figuring out there's a spy in the chat. Didn't manage to get Drudka. And then they're also finding AI images, which are jokes about India, of course.
Mm.
They are what they are. And they're mass reporting them. So it turns out there is actually an Indian defense force on the internet that will get you banned.
To be fair, if it ever gets to the point of going to, the people who are going through social media or, calling up on the phone, the Indians have already got that covered. It's like, they're our guys.
And if you call up the help center to get unbanned, too bad.
Yeah.
What did you do? Anti-Indian? I think you're going to remain banned, sir. Sorry about that.
Will
But
not redeem.
this isn't the only case of Indian gaming of the system that blew up recently. Also, this one mentioned earlier. So this is Reg Nationalist. In the UK, Indians are producing TikTok videos providing how-tos for new immigrants to claim hundreds of pounds of disability money a month for snoring. If you are snoring, apparently you can claim disability money
I snore.
if you rig the system.
Oh, well, I want a tax rebate. This is actually quite the revelation.
Well, let's learn, shall we?
आप भी 518 पाउंड्स पर मंथ क्लेम कर सकते हैं यूके गवर्नमेंट से
518 per month.
Do I want to listen to babble?
खराटे लेते हो मतलब sound
No,
करते
shut
हैं,
up,
crazy
Callum. I wanna
थोड़ा
pay
है,
attention
if
to
you
this.
also snores you can claim 518 pounds per month from UK government. लेकिन क्यों खराटे तो सब लेते हैं लेकिन it can be considered as a disability if it is associated with a very serious health condition sleep apnea जिसके लिए आपको अपने जीपी से थोड़ा क्या कहते हैं assessment कराना है इसके symptoms क्या होते हैं कि
I need a
आपको
doctor's
सांस लेने में दिक्कत है,
diagnosis.
रात को आपको
So yes, if you convince a doctor to basically lie and be like, "Oh man, I'm sleeping real rough. I've got sleep apnea," because you're snoring, you can lie and then force steal money from the government. And this dude is putting that on TikTok. Sorry. Oh, most doctors are Indian. John's chiming in with there, so that's a whole other discussion. But yeah, no, what I can't get over is both of these are not human beings who are rigging the system. Like, we're well aware that there are people who take advantage of the system, especially foreigners in any given country, because, well, you have no ties to the land, you have no shame. If you get caught, what happens? You get sent home. Hoo-hoo. Like, it's pretty, normal
Mm.
in that aspect. But the fact that they're putting it on social media and not caring, that's the bit that gets me.
Well, they don't comprehend that it's what they're doing is immoral. They
Yeah.
just can't conceive of the notion that British people might take exception to this.
I mean, this one here is just fraud as well. I mean, it's also illegal.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, stealing from a food bank, I guess you can't go to prison, but you sort of should get some flogging, I feel.
Should get put in the stocks and have rotten food thrown at you in a sort of ironic punishment.
The people who get the food from the food bank who are like, we can't give that to you. We've got to use that to punish the wrongdoers instead. But yeah, no, the fact that they're uploading it, they literally don't have any moral compass whatsoever. I mean, I remember when social media became a thing. Did I ever tell you the story about the girls from my school that stole a bus?
No, that was such a Carl Pilkington like. No, you've got to tell me now.
So we used to go to the bus stop every day and get the bus with these girls from my town, and we go to school, right? Minibus to work, not to work, school. And these two girls were older than me; they were bigger girls. And one day they decided to go to Salisbury, and they were, I presume, a bit pissed. And it was like 1 a.m. And it turns out the buses are free; you can just take them. There's no keys, so you press a button to turn them on. So they just pulled open the doors, walked in, got the bus, and then drove it across the county back to the hometown. And then drove it into a building, like a building site. They were still building Archer's Gate at that point. They just drove it into a wall.
They drove it into a wall.
Yeah, real dumb. Don't know why they did this. But that's dumb enough. That's crime. The thing that was funny is they filmed it and then put it on YouTube. Because they got done, but then they couldn't prove it was them. But then they found out they put it on YouTube, and obviously they're filming their faces and them stealing a bus.
It's like, wouldn't it be terrible if someone filmed myself committing these crimes? Oh wait, that's me.
Yeah.
Like they must have understood that stealing a bus was wrong, and they still filmed it and still put it out on the internet.
I mean, they were 15, 16, so you can make the argument that, like, well, they're kind of kids, so they're stupid, right?
But even when I was like 8, I would have known better than that.
Not to steal a bus.
Yeah.
Remember those adverts? You wouldn't steal a bus.
You wouldn't download a bus.
But these guys, these are grown men. These are grown men who have no excuse. They just don't care, apparently. But there we are. But I'll end this story off with something else, which is that it seems to be the case that quite a lot of Indians are heading home. Just more Indian news.
The Indian forecast.
Yeah.
It's going to be a light spattering of Indians in India.
Well,
But,
yeah, literally, there is actually a large movement of Indians across the hemisphere, from Canada all the way back to Punjab, which is real. So this is the BBC.
So they're leaving.
Yeah, so this is the BBC reporting on Canadians. Indians who have gone to Canada, moving back to India, because the Canadian dream isn't working.
You also need to, be careful because they're not Native American Indians. They're Indian Indians.
What do you use? Indian. Big difference.
Ugh.
Yeah. Anyway, so they say here in the article, the Indian dream is over. You can no longer mass migrate to Canada. What?
That is the Indian dream. Hang on, one second. Can we take a minute to admire that guy's mustache?
I suppose so.
One thing I've got to credit the Indians with is they're keeping the flame of the mustache alive. And I can't pull off a mustache. I look like a sex offender. If I grow a mustache out.
That's why you should grow one.
No.
It'd be funny.
People would be like crossing the street when I'm walking past. It'd be terrible.
Oh, no.
Making everyone uncomfortable.
The homeless will be weirded out by me and won't walk next to me. No. You live in Swindon, man.
That's true. I need a homeless deterrent, don't I?
So they say here that they can't migrate to Canada anymore. It's hard to miss the adornment in Punjab of migrant ambitions when driving through its rural, fertile plains, this author writes. Billboards promising easy immigration to Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and the UK throughout ample musty fields. Off the highways, consultancies offer English coaching to eager youths. Single-story brick homes double up as canvases for hand-painted murals advertising, promising quick visas. I mean,
by the way, I have a story related to this.
Sure.
So in my block of flats in Swindon, I could hear someone learning English on Duolingo and Indian, but they were playing it out of their home like hi-fi system. So it was blasting. So I could
Good
hear.
morning.
I could like hear every word, but they were really basic phrases, and I was just like, oh, you've got a flat here. You don't even know how to say hello. How are you?
But it's a real thing, because I remember when I went to that mass, I think it's 100% Indian area of London, they had advertisements of like how to get your visas done and whatnot. You don't see that in rural England. You don't see like visa services to going to Switzerland.
Well, in central Swindon, there's an immigration lawyer right in the town centre,
But for
like, around the corner from the former migrant hotel.
But in this case, like she's talking about, she's traveling, or I don't know, rural Punjab. And in rural Punjab, there's just hand-painted mural advertisements for come and get your visa. We'll send you to the UK, Australia, Canada, or whatever, right? That's just weird. That's just another world, if nothing else. But they say that it's drying up. Hundreds of agents jostle for space in the narrow streets, pledging to speed up youth's runaway dreams. But some, especially from Canada, are now choosing to travel back home. Quote, everything was so expensive. I had to work 50 hours every week after college just to survive, he told the BBC, one of the people they're interviewing. High inflation is making students leave their studies. I have a good life here in India. Why should I face hardship there when I can survive at home and make good money? And then they say they spoke to a half a dozen other people in this area, and all of them were like that. They went over to Canada and then realized, God damn, it's expensive, inflation is high, and this is a pain in the ass to live. And have all gone back to India.
You know your country's bad when, people from India are just like, you know what, your currency is worthless.
Basically.
Give me some rupees.
But also, like, a very base sentiment, to be honest. I actually quite like. It's good advice. Why would you leave your homeland to go and face a lot of hardship elsewhere? Like, if you can live at home happy, do it.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you not?
If you're going to be in poverty, you may as well be at home.
Yeah, sincerely. Like, why would you move to go to the big city and still live like crap? It's just not a good offer.
I'm contemplating my life choices now, Callum.
As Swindon mentioned. Anyway. But sadly, not everyone is so reasonable. And this is the big story for me that blew it up, is that I saw this. There's a sharp rise in Indians detained at the US-Canada border. 30,000 Indian nationals were apprehended at the northern border in 2023. So there's been a mass immigration of Indians to Canada, okay? Because of these visa services, Canada having more open borders than they should, and people trying to leave India en masse, they're all going to Canada. And then they got there, found out Canada is really hard to live in, and are now breaking into the United States.
No, do not invade, sir.
But like the northern US border has never been something of note. I mean, when have they ever had to worry about that ever?
All those Canadians sneaking into the US, yeah.
Because there's
Doesn't really happen, does it? It's the southern border that's the problem.
it's also a really fun history. Like up until 9/11, the US-Canadian border, you could hop across it, it's fine, whatever. Like I've heard all these stories, and now they have to implement it properly because of 9/11 and since that. But now they actually have to even care about it because, of course, it was kind of a joke where it's like, oh man, Canadians might be coming over to eat food. That'll be terrible. But now, no, you actually have a mass migration problem with Indians from Canada, which, okie dokie. That was 2,200 people breaking it illegally 2 years ago. Now it's 30,000.
That's massive.
Huge. Okay, well, enjoy that future too. I thought we'd just check it on the southern border. Of course, that being the worst one. It's now gone up to 8 million people have broken in.
How on earth
Biden.
can anyone, any country in the world cope with that influx of people?
That's now the 11th most populous state in the Union.
As in the illegals are
Yes,
the 11th most populous state.
Biden's migrants make up the 11th most populous state in the United States.
They're turning the entire country into a right state, aren't they?
Yeah, but anyway, maybe it'll explode with the Canadian border and you'll have a new Canadian state as well. But there we are. That's the food bank wars, which just horrific, just awful, if nothing else. If you appreciated that episode from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content that's on the site, such as the Epoch series, this episode on the Medici family. If you'd like to find out what else is being put out, you can follow on Twitter at lotuseaters_com on Twitter. Thank you and goodbye.